Hello, Andy. This is Colin. I won't be able to get in tonight. I'm sweating like a pig. I'm sweating like a pig. I'm sweating like a pig. I'm sweating like a pig.
Hello, David here, One Up Gaming. Gonna have another go at this which is best. And this week we have the Super Mario Brothers game and of course Sonic the Hedgehog. The Attitude himself. Look at that. Look at a little finger wave. Waving your finger! Well, I mean, what can you say? Two massive franchises head to head. So I guess we'll go with presentation first of all. And I mean, what can you say? The games, I think Mario came out about 85? Was it about 85 it came out? I know over in the UK we never really got the Mario games until about 80, was it 89? When the NES came out in the UK? Can't remember. But yeah, Sonic came out in 91 I think it was. So as you can guess, a lot of the niceties of the levels and the presentation and just how everything was put to the player, it was massively in favour of the Sonic game just because it was newer, it had more modern aesthetics, had more modern design, and don't get me wrong, the Super Mario Brothers was amazing for the time, but I still just think that if you're going on pure presentation of the games, then Sonic would win this round. So that is what we are saying. Sonic wins this round. As Mario, it's a perfect game, but unfortunately it's just a perfect game that's a little bit shallow nowadays. So now this is where Mario gets a little bit of a clawback. I remember being a kid, I'd have a guess, back in the days, all those years ago, and thinking that, because I never had a NES growing up. I had a Master System, I had a Mega Drive, and I remember going to a friend's house and playing Mario. Now this is just before Sonic sort of came onto the scene, and I was absolutely blown away with the actual the gameplay. You know, like just everything about the game itself, how it felt, how it played. It was so smooth, it was so slick. The jumps, everything just blended together perfectly, and you know, like, what can you say? It's just the perfect playing game. It's almost the best platform game ever created, playability wise. And yeah, that's what I have to say about that. And I will sort of say that Sega, they didn't take the inspiration from Mario. I think they knew what they were doing. They created a completely different sort of platform game, and with that they sort of created their own game, and this was much more speed, flash, graphics, everything was all there, but you could still slow and methodical. So the mechanics, I mean, what can you say? Mario is a 2D side-scrolling platform game where you jump on enemies' heads and you collect like power-ups through the little tiny power blocks, and different sort of like power-ups give you different abilities. But I will say that the vast majority of the game with Mario it is, you are just playing to the actual level. You're playing the perfect game as it was, just with how it feels and how it runs. Again, Sonic on the other hand, it still looks amazing, it still plays amazing, but it is a completely different kind of game than Mario. This one's fast, brash, in your face, graphics to die for, speed, it just, everything's there. The tiny thing that I don't like about those Sonic games is sometimes that playability, it's just not quite as good. You know, it's a bloody good game, don't get me wrong, but I just think sometimes that in a platform game you just need the basics there, and I think the Mario gets the platforming part perfect. So I guess we'll move on to the next sort of bit to talk about, and that would be the playability. Now, we've basically gone through this again, because in these old sort of like 16-bit, 8-bit sort of games, there's not a massive amount of stuff that you can talk about, because they're all function over, you know, it's not like a modern game where it's like thousands of people making them. This was probably made by 5 people, like in a shed. Guess not. But you get what I mean. It's a brilliant game. Everything just works as it's intended. And I will just say that the Mario game just feels so good. You know, the playability is there. Even now from 1985, it still plays amazingly well. I remember getting this game on the was it the Game Boy Advance when it came out, thinking that it still played amazingly well, even for the time. But I mean, what can you do? I guess it's just graphically it hasn't aged brilliantly. There's no parallax scrolling, there's no, you know, everything's just like very simple to sort of do. But it does look amazing for the time. And you got to remember, back in the day, that's when they were doing like the single screen platform games. So they massively jumped the gun with that. So yeah, and so anyway, Sonic playability, brilliant game, plays amazing, looks amazing. As I said earlier on, the only problem with the Sonic games is sometimes you don't seem to have the actual feel of the jumping. His mobility isn't as good as the Mario games, and sometimes when the levels are sort of like gone really into the slow paced sort of game, not the fast, like run anywhere fast you can sort of levels, when you get into the slow sort of like games, it can be a bit of a problem, just for the simple reason that you just don't seem to have as much control over Sonic. But you can put up with a lot of stuff with it. So yeah, I still think that Mario plays better than Sonic, is what I think. So graphics, again, what can you say? For 1985, this was absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. How it all changed, how it all evolved, how, you know, like the games were designed, it's completely different. Moving forward, platforming was never the same again. But I have to say, everything that I've said that's amazing about the Mario game, Sonic is the tour de force of graphics in these games. And you know, what can you say? Sonic just graphically looks amazing, fast, smooth, fluid, and I just think that the backgrounds are so much more detailed, so much more going on, whereas with the Mario games it's more methodical, more sort of like you can understand what's going on. But really good games, both of them really good games. So yeah, but I mean, look, background, it's got like foreground, background scrolling, it just looks amazing. It's fast, smooth, fluid, the animations are perfect. I'm not sure how much animation the Marios sort of have. It's nowhere near as good as the Sonic sort of games, but again, what is it, like 7 years different, that kind of thing. And yeah, this just looks so good for the Mega Drive, or as some weird people call it, the Genesis. So I do think graphically this game is so much better. It's really good. Back in the day, back in 1991. But yeah, some people say that Sonic has never quite matched how it's worked in 3D, whereas the Mario games, maybe because they were slower paced, easier to get into, then you know, the 3D elements were much easier to go into. Sound, again, a lot of the Mario stuff is absolutely iconic nowadays, absolutely iconic. And to me, I will also say the Sonic games, absolutely iconic, amazing sort of sounds. And but what do you guys think? Leave comments, tell us what you all think about all these games. Is there any games that you'd like us to cover, like us to pit against each other? It's your sort of ideas, keeps the channel going. I will say though, if I was to just sit and play the game, I think Mario's music fits it better. If I was to sort of like listen to the game outside of if I was listening to the music outside of the game, then I would say that maybe the Sonic game is the better overall score, you know, for the soundtrack. But yeah, it's all amazing for the times. Everything looks good, everything plays well. It all fits to the game perfectly. You know, the music. I like the sound effects of both of them. The ring that Mario... Sorry, not the ring. The coins, that's the one, isn't it? Let me know, I completely blanked out then. The coin sound effect, the jumping on things, the jump, all the little wahays and all that just sound perfect with the Mario universe. And again, Sonic, the ring noise, the jump noise, the spin dash, all the little tiny things in the game, just absolutely perfect. All runs amazingly well. So yeah, I do think that the only thing that Mario is properly beaten on is like the graphics and the overall music. Everything else, Mario is absolutely top tier. You know, absolutely amazing. But yeah, this really showed what the Mega Drive could do back in the day. Really surprised a lot of people how amazing this was. I mean, like I say, it's got scrolling, it's got it's just, you know, artwork that's amazing to look at. I mean, look at this, just simple little things like this, just to sort of like defeat Eggman. But yeah, it's not just a platform game, it's like a little puzzle game. It's got a lot of things going for it. But yeah, I mean, conclusion wise, I will just say Sonic looks and sounds better, but for me everything is always about playability, and I might have come to the Mario series a good 10-15 years too late to really appreciate how groundbreaking this was. But even playing this game like 10-15 years late, it's still an amazing, absolutely amazing piece of software. And Sonic, for the time, again, really good, different, and it was just absolutely style of everything. But I will just say, I do think that in this essence I would prefer the Mario game over the Sonic game. Overall, as a package to play, I do think playability is the biggest thing. So, with what gaming say, Mario is better than Sonic.